From Central Pennsylvania, this is CBS 21 News at 5:30.
We begin with live pictures out of Baltimore right now where chaos broke out this afternoon. Right now, protesters and riots against police continue. All this in response to the death of Freddie Gray. He died while in police custody. Freddie had a severe spinal injury.
And we've been showing you scenes like that one in Baltimore all day long. Police say at least 7 officers have been hurt. Protesters threw rocks and bricks at them. Many of them, of those injured officers, have broken bones. One of them is unresponsive tonight. CBS 21's Christina Butler is in Baltimore tonight. And Christina, earlier today you were at the funeral for Freddie Gray. Tell us what you've been seeing down there since. You were caught in the thick of it too.
We were, Tanya, and you mentioned those police officers who were injured. The latest from Baltimore police is that they have been able to get those police officers out of that area and to safety to provide them treatment. That is the exact area that we were in. We also have been able to move several blocks away so we can safely bring you these reports. But this is what happened to us. You can see we have some holes here on our live truck. This is pretty hard, and it was thrown hard enough that it made a dent there. There's another one back here. There are also several on the other side of our news van. Tanya, as you said, we were leaving the funeral area for Freddie Gray around 2 p.m. That funeral had wrapped up. It was a peaceful wrap-up. People left the area calmly. Within about an hour and a half, we started to hear reports of some protesters and some violence just a couple blocks away from us at a shopping area. So we were heading there. As we were heading there, the crowds were really gathering on the streets. We were approaching a stoplight when a police car turned in front of us. Those crowds immediately turned on that police car. That was, again, about 2 cars in front of us. They shattered that police car's window. That police car was able to take off at that point. That is when those crowds turned on us, again, hitting us several times with what we believe to be rocks, maybe some sticks, and making these marks. Again, the latest from police, though, is that those officers have been removed from the scene. Baltimore police also advising that this is a large group of juveniles. This group is primarily made up of juveniles. They are asking parents to track down their children in the area and get them home so this stops. Police also saying that this continues to be an aggressive group and that it is moving away from that area down toward an area near Pennsylvania Avenue. The looting continues, the rock throwing continues, and overall these riots still in pretty high gear this evening. We'll continue to keep you updated from Baltimore. Reporting live for now, Christina Butler, CBS 21 News.
Christina, just while we still have you there, describe a little more of that chaos. You say that the crowd got unruly with the police and then they suddenly seemed like they turned on you. Is that because you're a member of the media?
You know, Rob, it's hard to say. That's what we would have to figure because we were the only media truck in the area at that time. I think had we been maybe a minute earlier or a minute later, maybe we would not have been right, caught up in that. But because the police car was able to get away, we were right there. And, I'm glad you bring this up because it really, it was almost amazing in a sense how quickly this went from people just kind of gathering along the streets and maybe chanting here or there, but really just gathering to all of the sudden turning violent, throwing those things, screaming, yelling, and sort of invading the street. It did not take long at all for that to go from peaceful gathering to pretty violent and pretty chaotic, Rob.
Christina, did you hear at any time any of these protesters, most of them rioters, yelling anything? Did they say anything to you knowing you were the media?
Sure, we heard some things that I probably shouldn't repeat on live TV, Tanya, but overall it wasn't a sense that media was being targeted for most of the day. I want to make that clear. When we were at the funeral, it was very respectful. People came up to us. They were willing to talk to us. At the funeral, everyone was very calm and they were almost appreciative of the fact the media was there covering it. It was then in those hours afterwards at that mall gathering where things kind of suddenly seemed to take a turn. And like I said, had we maybe not been by that police car, maybe it wouldn't have happened. Maybe that's what spurred that sudden burst of violence and we just got caught up in it. Could have just been, poor timing that way. I don't want to give the impression that the whole day has been targeting media. It was just that time frame for us.
Yeah, and Christina, the Gray family tweeted out earlier that the quote was something along the lines of, "These are not the same kids that were at the funeral that are causing the violence." About how far away from the funeral were you when this happened?
This was just several blocks, Rob, easily within walking distance. I would say maybe 4 or 5 blocks. It would be a quick walk But it didn't seem, to the family member's point there, it did not seem like it was the same crowd from the funeral that we were hearing from.
All right, Christina.
And Rob, I just lost my connection to you, but we'll check back in at 6 o'clock in case you have more questions and to bring you the update, the latest from here in Baltimore. For now,
all right, Christina Butler reporting live for us in Baltimore. We'll check back with her later. Hopefully she stays safe. Hopefully everyone here in Baltimore is staying safe tonight, because these pictures that are coming out are just disheartening of these riots that are now happening in the city of Baltimore.
We're going to check back in later in this half hour, of course, and again at the top of our 6 o'clock news. But police are trying to get a handle on the situation in Baltimore following the funeral for Freddie Gray, who died in police custody on April 12th.